all the timings are given to you here, but a lot of the times, because you have no idea of how long you're talking for, you don't stop speaking when the timer is over. Well, when the examination will be conducted, actually, the invigilator, the examiner, the person who's holding the test will probably stop you after the time is done. Especially for the short talk. For the short talk, as soon as you hit 2 minutes, they'll stop you, even if you're in the middle of your talk. So I want to give you some last pointers on how should you go about it on exam day. So these are the teacher's notes, and that's how it will start. So first of all, she'll come, whoever the examiner is, they'll come up, they'll say that, okay, I'm Javier Yamir, you are Mohammad Umar Zia, your candidate number is 00315, and today is 25th March, Wednesday. Welcome to your speaking exam. And then they will keep a very light atmosphere and they'll ask you. They'll say that, first we'll start with a short warm up where I'll ask you some questions to find out more about you. This part is not assessed. Then they'll explain. After the warm up, there are three assessed parts to the test: an interview, a short talk, and a discussion. What would really help is that you genuinely keep your calm. You sit back and relax. You don't think too much about how it's gonna go, and just simply try to relax. Now, for the warm up, as these parts are not assessed, I would want you to take your time whilst answering them, and get into the motion of how the questions will be given to you and how you'll answer them. Try not to think too much for the warm up, because obviously in the next parts you won't have any time to think. So use the warm up to train your mind to quickly answer questions. I also would recommend at home, if you have a sibling or a parent who's a bit free, try to spend at least 15 to 20 minutes to solve and to give those interviews to your family member. These scripts are all available on the internet, and this will help you get into that mindset of when you're stuck with a new question, how are you responding to it? Does your brain freeze, or can you answer it on spot? So the first question is, what's your favorite sport? So let me answer this entire test for you in an exemplar way. Yeah, how should you do it as well? Okay, so I've obviously not seen these questions before, so they're as new for me as they are for you, or as they would be for you. What's your favorite sport? I can start off by saying that my favorite sport is basketball. Remember, here you can answer for as long as you want. So I'm not saying give a very long answer, but at least take 15 to 20 seconds, only because this will get you in the mind frame of being able to answer them. So my favorite sport is basketball. I've played it ever since I was 5 years old, and I've always got an advantage because of my height. At 5 feet 7, all of my classmates always told me that I'd be a good basketball player. See, not too long, 20 seconds. I'm also going to start a timer now so that I can also answer with a timer to, check, to like show you guys कि भाई, this is how long you should be speaking for in these. Per, basically, per question, how long should you be speaking for? Okay, Navita. Now for the second one. For the short warm-ups, 20 to 30 seconds is fine. So let's say, what did you do during your last holiday? Well, my last holiday was Eid, and all of my family members from all over the world were here in Karachi. So I usually took part in different family dawats, went out, ate a lot of good food, and just relaxed at home. So see, remember, now this is like a 15-second answer. That's fine. Now let me tell you, that was a quick answer. You're not expected to answer that quickly. Now let me give an answer in an enunciated way. So let me tell you ki how slowly can you answer, which would not result in any marks reduction. So let's say for the last question, how do you get to school every day? Okay. Well, I live only a few minutes away from my school, so I usually take a walk to my school. I'm accompanied by my elder brother. However, some days when my dad is going off to work and our schedules align with his, I can take a ride with him. Now remember, let me answer the same question but in a slower manner. Okay, what was happening was कि I was answering in the same duration as my mind was thinking. I had not thought of an answer beforehand. And you will not get to think of an answer beforehand as well. So, if you want to use hand gestures or anything, whatever works for you, do that. Because there are no marks deducted for that. For example, let's try again for what did you do during your last holiday? My last holiday was during the summers. My family and I took a trip to Bali, Indonesia, where we stayed at a beautiful resort. It was a great holiday because I've never spent a lot of time near the sea before. And it was a huge change of scenery from the chaotic city life that I'm used to. See, this answer, I spoke lesser words, but it took more time because I was slowing it down. You can afford to slow it down. Let's try for the interview part. Okay, let me tell you how slow can you answer so that it will give you more time to think about it. Remember, the only way to improve is I know you guys have good English. The only thing that you really struggle with is thinking on your feet. So please use your family members, whoever can help you around, whoever can help you out to get more practice on this. Now, for the interview, I've told you a bunch of times before, there are three parts. The first part is always listing, even if the question is blindsiding you. I'm already telling you beforehand. The first part of the interview has to have answers and points. It says, can you tell me where people like to go out for a meal in your local area? So they don't want to listen about one place. They want to know about 2 to 3 places. The ideal number is 3. You should mention 3 different spots. For the first part of the interview, always mention 3 things. So let's try. I've not thought of an answer. Now I want to aim this answer at least 40 seconds. Because the interview is supposed to be 2 to 3 minutes long. If your answer is shorter than that, you will not get marks for development. So make it 40 seconds long. Okay, 40 seconds is a long time. So I'm gonna open a timer for you guys as well during your mocks so that you can get a good idea for that. Okay. Khair, can you tell me where people like to go out for a meal in your local area? Well, I live in Karachi, Pakistan, and usually people like to afford cheap family outings when they're going for a night out. The most common place that I found a lot of people going to is a chai dhaba. It's a nice and casual place to relax where you can get a cheap cup of tea and hang out with your friends and family. However, if you're looking for something a bit middle class, a more popular dining out spot could be a Desi restaurant, where you'd get everything from Pakistani to Chinese cuisine, which for some reason is very prevalent in this country. If you're really looking to splurge, I would recommend a fine dining spot near the defense side, where you can get good views and good food. However, it comes with a costly price range. Mention 3 things. Okay, 3 things. Also, listen to me. If you think about my answer, it was a bit dumb because Chai Dhaba is not a meal spot. But the examiner does not know about it. They genuinely will never cut marks for like a stupid answer. Especially because most of these are opinionated. They don't care. They don't know that people don't eat a meal at a chai dhaba. But to be honest, that was the first thing that came to my mind. And why? Because I literally just came from a chai dhaba like 5 hours ago. Like I went there. So, I'm human as well. You can sometimes think of something that isn't on spot exactly. But as long as you're developing your answer, your marks will never be cut because your examination is for English language, not for general knowledge. Just remember for the first part, 3 things. And for every single thing, say one more sentence. So the chai dhaba, I said it was a costly, it was a cheap place you can hang out with your friends and family. Then I said restaurant, then I said one thing about the cuisine. Then for the fine dining, I said one thing about the scenery. For each thing you're listing down, mention mention one explanatory sentence as well. Okay. Now for the second one is, can you tell me about, okay, remember, I've always told you for this one as well. For the second part, you will always get a question about personal experience. Here, the personal experience is, can you tell me about a meal you enjoyed in a cafe or a restaurant? Remember, answer realistically, please. For the personal experience one, please do not make a fake experience because you will never be able to give appropriate details about it. Never. If you answer from personal experience, you will always have something more to add. Okay. Even if it takes like 5 seconds to think about it, for these ones, you can think for 5 seconds, but not more than that. You have like 5 seconds to think about it. And if you're ever confused, ask them to repeat the question. That will always buy you more time. So, can you tell me about a meal you enjoyed in a cafe or a restaurant? So, remember, I'm just going to answer whatever comes to my mind at first. Okay, so today my friends and I went to a cafe in Clifton called Cafe Flow. That's a, that's apparently the second most famous and expensive restaurant in Karachi. Well, all of us are a bunch of teenagers with not a lot of pocket money, so that was a very costly dine out. And when we went there, when we looked at the menu, we were shocked at the prices. And two of my friends shared one meal. When we ordered the food, it came there surprisingly earlier than we expected. So we laughed a bit, enjoyed our meal, but when it came to the bill time, we were all really shocked because we had somehow spent 20,000 on a single meal and we weren't even full. So after that dine out, we went to a local cafe to eat our fill. Now that's a real experience. A bit exaggerated, but that's a real experience. Like I literally just went to a cafe and somehow my answer was 50 seconds long. I know I've told you guys that when you're answering this question, you can always bank on some details to help you out. And details could include the day and what you're wearing. A lot of these questions are always about, what time about you went there. So the day, date, wearing, and the people you're with will always help you fill the time on this question. Well, I talked about the people and I talked about the fact that it was today, so that helped. But I also mentioned a bunch of extra details. What did we do after that? But it's okay. It's okay if you're adding some extra parts. As long as you're speaking in flow, it's amazing. Okay. Now the last part. Remember, part one is listing. List three things. Part two is experience. So give some details about the experience. At least make it 50 seconds long. Then the third one will always be about your opinion. Your opinion is very important. For the opinion one, always give your opinion yes or no, and then at least give two explained reasons. I emphasize on explained because you guys just say one sentence and move on, and that is going to cut your marks. So here the question is, do you think it's a good idea to ban fast food restaurants? Why or why not? Also, if you're ever confused and you can't think of two reasons, then you can also do this care. You give one experience for yes, one opinion for yes, one opinion for no, and then say, all in all, I'm more inclined towards banning them. So, for example, I want to say, कि no, I don't think you should ban fast food restaurants. Even though they might not be the best idea for your health, a lot of people around me are really busy on a day to day basis. And sometimes they just want a quick bite to eat. And the only option they have on their hands is a fast food restaurant. Because you can't always wait around for 40 minutes before you receive your meal. In between meetings, classes, and just a hectic schedule in general, you want to go to fast food restaurants. Secondly, sometimes someone is looking for an unhealthy food eating option. You don't always want to keep your health in mind. Sometimes you just want to sit back and relax. Or you have a cheat day. What's the point of going to the gym 6 days a week if you can't even treat yourself to a beef burger at the end of the week? So I think fast food restaurants should not be banned. If someone wants to keep their health in check, they are the one responsible for that. I just gave two reasons and my time was over. See, remember, just follow this formula. 3 points for listing, For experience, give at least three details. And for the last one, yes or no, and then two reasons. So now I would like a volunteer, Maram or Umar. Would one of you like to volunteer to give a speaking test in front of the class? You guys usually do really well on the individual ones. So if you're not feeling a bit nervous, I feel like I've spoken for like half an hour now. I want one of you. Please, please, it would be nice. Like, madam, would you? Yeah, it would help the others. Like, it would set a good precedent because you guys are generally good at it. And you guys are already at like level one. Oh my, you're lying. How is it so all suddenly? Yeah, I'll give you guys something, please. I'll give you ED. How much ED? Do you guys get ED? Do you guys get a lot of ED? How much ED did you guys get? You probably get it in reals, right? Yeah, I'm bribing you, yaar. Please get bribed. 512 reals? That's that's good, yeah. But how, that's such a weird number. 512 is such a weird number. Like someone give you 12 reals as ED. Zara, do you live in Oman? I did not know that. Don't you live in Saudi? Someone give you 12 reals? That's hilarious, yeah. 15 Omani real is not a lot. Maha, you did not get 0 real. Omar, please get bribed, yeah. How much ED did you get? I used to give my students ED, like, but like 1000 PKR, which isn't a lot in reals, but here it's like fine. It's a good amount, I'd say. I had to give more ED than I got. And I think this is genuinely the testament of your old age. You're now giving out more ED than you're receiving. And like count me out, yeah. My brothers, they gave me so much. They usually give me like a good amount, but they gave me nothing this year, and I'm still pestering them. I want to get it. I don't know why they didn't give. Why they did? Why they excluded me? It was horrible. Zara, you should manipulate other people. You should. It's over, Vese, now. I don't think anyone's gonna give it now. You guys don't have a lot of family members there now. Come on, man. Umar, Maram, someone volunteer, yaar. You can do it. Please. It would be good. Just the interview part. Not the entire test, just the interview part. It would take you like 2 to 3 minutes only. I know, but they didn't get 50, they got 15. I know, okay, 15, 50 Omani Reals is like 500, but they said they got 15 Omani Real, which is, which is okay, but like I expect you guys to get more. Man, you did not get zero. Did you get 0 Real actually? Zero is insane, yaar. Maha, I'll give you EDR. Would you like to volunteer for the test in front of the class? Why are you not volunteering, yaar? Maha, Umar, why are you ditching me, yaar? Just do it, man. It's okay. Madam, you're my last hope. Okay, Maha. Okay. So, Maha, let's try to. Do you want the same questions or can I give you a new question? Which one would you prefer? Like the ones that I just answered, or can I give you new ones? Just the interview part, not the entire test. Okay. So we're gonna do this one. The questions are in front of you as well. I'm gonna start the timer as well. Okay. So this is about favorite places. Try to say as much as you can for each question. Remember, we're trying to take it up till 40 seconds at least for the answers. Okay. So the first question is, you can unmute yourself, please. Can you tell me something about a room in your house that you like? Remember at least three things. Okay. So can I start the timer? You can start speaking, and then I'll start the timer. Can you tell me about still? Can you tell
Okay.
me something about a? Can you tell me something about a room in your house that you like?
Well, I love my room in my house, of course, because that's where I stay most of the time. And it I've just decorated my room in a way that expresses myself. So it feels very comfortable. And since I spend most of my time here, then then yeah, it just has all of my things, and I think it's my comfort place.
Okay. Good attempt. But once again, the only problem here is that you stopped at two things. You mentioned decorations and you mentioned things I like. If you had mentioned one more specific detail about the room, then you would have reached the 40-second mark. Remember, this is the best way to answer it because the timer is for 2 to 3 minutes. Now, if you answer 30 seconds per question, your part will be over in 1.5 minutes, which is lesser. Then the examiner will ask you follow up questions, and that gets reduced marks in development. Also, now the next part is, can you tell me about a place you visited regularly when you were a child? So, one experience in detail.
So I used to visit this fry shop back when I used to live in Pakistan, Karachi. Me and my friends would go there like every time and eat fries and then just roam around the society and while talking, gossiping, sometimes ringing bells and running away. So it's a nice memory. They had really good fries and it was practically very cheap at that time too because we didn't have that much money as a pocket monies. So it was very convenient for us and it had taste. So win-win either way.
Okay, good enough. Just try to mention more details next time, like the name of the place or
Okay.
just the name of the place would beg, I guess, or the location generally. But it was a good answer. I liked it. Just a good, generally good one. Okay, last. Do you think it's more enjoyable to go on holiday to a place you know or somewhere new?
I think it's more enjoyable to go to a new place because the place that you've already been is not it's not interesting. There's nothing new. You can't explore more, and I think it's more exciting if you go to a new place and you can have new experiences, do more things, and maybe record it and then look back at it. Going to a same place all over and over again. That may be your comfort place and you like it, but then I think you should try new experiences.
Good, actually, really good answers. Overall, generally good answers, except for the timing. Just could be a little bit more, but the duration that you had was good without any errors. Just two things. I know that you guys obviously you can make this error while speaking. I understand completely. It's not when you're speaking, your speaking is never error free completely. But just a reminder to all of you, whenever you're answering, it's never me and my friends, it's always my friends and I. And try to
Oh,
use the first form of the like try to use the first form of the word after did. So didn't had is always wrong. It's always gonna be did not have. Okay. But that was good. Generally, thank you, Maha. Just send me your bank account info, yaar, if you're getting that ED. Okay, I'm serious, by the way. So do you guys have
okay,
your own
sure.
bank accounts or something? I don't know. But okay. Right. Great. Okay, now for the short talk. For the short talk, I see a lot of you struggling a lot. So let's talk about that a little bit. For the short talk, Vinabita, you are bound because the question clearly says talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each option. So you can't just go on and keep speaking about and blabbering about one side whilst ignoring the other one. That's just wrong, and that would get you reduced marks. So for this, the problem is it's clearly written here. Okay, when your 2 minutes are over, Okay, they'll stop you. It does not matter whether you're finished or not. So if you have not covered all bases before the 2 minutes are over, that obviously shows that you've not understood the part and you're not doing well. So let's say here the question is ki bhai, your teacher is asked you to write an article for the school magazine about a person who has influenced you in a positive way. You're considering the following options: writing about someone you know, writing about a famous person. ठीक है? तो now मेरा बेटा, since you have to mention advantages and disadvantages of each option, and you only have 2 minutes to speak, you need to ration it. When you'll have 1 minute to prepare now, the first thing you must do in the preparation time is think about which one you're gonna support. So personally, I want to say, write about someone you know. And let's say I wanna say कि भाई, I wanna write about, or I'll change my answer. I wanna say कि भाई, write about, wait, what's my opinion? Write about someone you know or a famous person. Yeah, I'll say I'll write about someone I know. So in that case, the best idea is the side that you're supporting, give two good positives for that and one negative. Okay. And for the side that you're not supporting, give one positive for that and two negatives. And if the time is less, then you can also cut this down and say one positive, one negative. Okay. This is the best way. I think this is the best breakdown. Okay. Or if you can't manage this much in the remaining time, you can do this. Give one positive, one negative for the side that you're not supporting. So because the question clearly says the advantages and disadvantages of both options. So one positive, one advantage, and one disadvantage for the side that you're not supporting, and two advantages and one disadvantage for the side you are supporting. And in the 1 minute, clearly try to think of some reasons. So if I had 1 minute, I would say, bhai, for someone I know, you can say that you're obviously more attached to them, so they would have influenced you in a bigger manner, in a more paramount way. And for example, I would want to write about my mother. So that is a topic that more people can relate to. That's two advantages of writing about someone you know. Okay. Or actually cut that. You can even say कि भाई, yeah, one disadvantage is the people uh, who are reading the magazine. I'm going to answer it completely in a proper manner right now. I'm just listing things for you. So one disadvantage of writing about someone you know is that people who are reading the magazine don't know that person. So for example, they don't know my mother, so they can't fact check it, and they might find it a bit irrelevant. However, when you're writing about a famous person, the advantage is that more people will know them. Okay? So it will be a topic that's common amongst them and they can relate to it, and you will have more viewership on the magazine. However, the disadvantage is that a lot of famous people aren't what they seem to be. You might be influenced by them on the screen. However, if you were to meet them in real life, their reality might be very adjacent to their online persona. So that's five reasons for me. I think five reasons are a lot to cover in 2 minutes, and you can't really cover too many talking points. So you can stick to five to make sure that you stay within the word limit. And the best way is that you can give your opinion in the end if you think you can manage the time. If you think you'll keep talking for more than the time limit, then you can also give your opinion in the starting. So let's start speaking about it now. Okay. Just to see if we are able to finish in 2 minutes. Obviously, I've never given a speaking test before, by the way. I've only conducted it, so I've never given a speaking test with like a timer. I've given the IELTS one, but like not this one. This one has a really short timer. The IELTS one is longer, but okay. Okay. Also, I find it easier to start talking from the side that I disagree with, because then it just makes more sense you're giving. Therefore, I agree with side that you should talk it about someone you know. Also, try to avoid repeating the question. It just gives a better impression to the invigilator if you're not repeating the question, because obviously everyone knows when you're repeating a question, you're just buying some time for yourself. Okay. All right. If I would be writing the article, uh sorry, okay, I fucked up, wait. Okay. Writing about a famous person has its pros and cons. Well, firstly, more people will be able to relate to the content of the article. For example, if I were to write about Taylor Swift, a lot of other readers would also look up to her as an influence. So more people can relate to it and you might have greater viewership on the article. However, I've often seen that for famous people, they are not really what they seem to be like on the internet. Taking the same example, Taylor Swift seems like this social activist. However, she had this recent scandal about using her private jet for really short trips as well. So, if you're writing about a famous person, there is a high chance that the person is not like that in real life, and you're just idealizing a fake narrative. But if you're writing about someone you know, well, the first benefit is that they must be exactly like that in real life as well. And if you're writing about someone like your mother, more people who are reading the article that can think about their own moms whilst reading it, and it will create a greater sense of community and connection amongst them. Secondly, the person you're writing about, when they read the article, they will also feel better and it will give them a sense of encouragement and show them how much they really mean to you and would help create and strengthen your bond with them as well. But one downside is that most people will not know about that certain person in your own capacity. For example, if it's your family member, your brother, or any of your siblings, the person reading the article don't know them personally. So if you go in a lot of details, they will not be able to connect to that part as they would be able to with a famous person. So it might make them feel a little alienated and they can't fact check anything against any personal bias. But all in all, I think that supporting and writing about someone you know is the better option given these two options. Now, to be very honest, this was not the best attempt. I think I can do way better. Like, I genuinely think I can do way better and have many better talking points. But the issue here is, okay, it only matters once again because if you look at the marks there are no marks for validity of points. So I feel like you guys beat yourself up a lot over the fact that my point wasn't the most credible, but once again that doesn't matter. It's as long as you're talking about both the sides and meeting advantages and disadvantages, it's good. And it got me exactly to the 2 minute mark. The examiner would have stopped me after that. So make sure you don't write more than 5 points. So you don't talk about more than 5 points. If you go for 6 or 7, you will never be able to finish them in time. Even though I spoke a little fast, quicker, even I couldn't fit in more than 5 points. So I think it's best to stick to five. Okay, last part is the discussion. They'll ask you questions that you've not talked about before. Okay, so because it's given here, avoid asking questions the candidate has already talked about. So they will ask you newer questions. So see, like for example, the first question that celebrities influence people in a positive way. I don't think they would have asked me this question because I already talked about this point. Okay, celebrities are not like that in real life. So they will probably ask me the second question. The second question is, what are the best ways of getting information on news nowadays? Remember, it says ways. You guys really overlook this part because it says ways. I cannot now give one way. I need to give multiple ways. The question is, what are the best ways of getting information on news nowadays? Getting information on news nowadays has become a real hassle because you can't be sure of who and who not to trust. But I personally think the best way to get news is from books or articles from credible news sources. For example, the New York Times or BBC News. Those are credible news sources that have existed on the planet for decades now. And since we know that they fact check their information and they back them up by direct quotations with people's names on it, you know who to trust. If you're going off random news channels or random articles without any names, you're only bound to be blindsided and get your hands on incorrect information that will put you at a risk of being manipulated by this mass media. For these questions, I would say 40 to 45 seconds is like the ideal length because you're supposed to answer 3 to 4 of them. And yeah, okay. So I mentioned two ways, news channels or articles that have their sources checked. So that was fine. Now the next question is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of being extremely talented in sport? One advantage of being extremely talented in sport is that it gives you great bragging rights over all your classmates. You're always doing well in every sport event, and it keeps you in good health. You don't have to forcefully walk for 10 kilometers for 10,000 steps per day just to keep healthy. If you're playing a sport you like, you get to balance both physical fitness and recreation at the same time without thinking of it as a hassle. One disadvantage is that it really hurts when you can't pursue it in real life. Because, especially in my country, in Pakistan, there's a lot of backlash with women pursuing sports. So, I knew that I would not get any support if I were to pursue playing basketball professionally. So, I had to give up on that dream really early on and go on to a profession which I didn't love too much. So, I think it has both advantages and disadvantages. Once again, my answer was a bit too specific. It was about my country, my personal experience. Doesn't matter as long as it is a disadvantage. Also, I mentioned two advantages and one disadvantage, fine. But I had to mention both. If I only gave advantages here, it would have been wrong. Is being a journalist a good career choice? Why or why not? In the part 3 discussion, when they say why or why not now, remember you're not bound. You can either give why reasons or why not reasons. If you but I personally think that all the time for these questions, you can't really think of a lot of reasons. Like this question is very specific, and I can only think of two reasons. One good positive reason and one negative reason. So here I will mention one reason for why and one reason for why not. But what I'm trying to say here is it's not like part A of the interview. It's not like you have to give yes and then only give advantages. I'll just give one advantage and one disadvantage. Because here even 2 points will full my complete my duration. One advantage of pursuing journalism as a career is that it's a very niche field. We don't have a lot of journalisms around. We don't have a lot of journalists around. Even the journalists that we do have are scared of taking risks. That's why we almost always get information that's above the belt. People don't want to dig into the details. So if you do pursue journalism, you won't have a lot of competition and you can really succeed and prosper in the field. However, one major disadvantage that can go to paramount heights is the danger. Journalists face a lot of backlash, and not only that, they're also at a risk and threat. When they expose scary or paramount news, a lot of people threaten them, and their lives may also be at risk if they expose some harsh realities about the world. So, if you do want to pursue journalism, you must be ready to face that fear and tackle it on headstrongly. A bit too long, but fine. So one advantage and one disadvantage is fine, and that's how you're supposed to answer for the speaking test. Generally, I would say you will probably never be asked 4 questions. It also depends on your length, by the way. If your answers are too short, if they're not 40 seconds long, then they will ask you 4 questions. But otherwise, they'll mostly always ask you 3 questions because that covers up the limit because the time that they used to ask the question that also counts now because you have kids lined up back to back and a speaking test is supposed to be like 15 minutes long. So that's it. As long as you guys fit in a couple of words, as long as you guys are using, let's say, 5 to 10 words during the entire speaking test, you'll get good marks in vocabulary. Grammar depends on the sentence structure, so try to use those conjunctions like I was using however, although, moreover, additionally. Try to use those. And development, as you guys know, is always in pronunciation. I think pronunciation is fine for most of you. It's the development that you struggle with. But yeah, that's generally it for today's class.